Welcome to the System Simplified podcast, where we feature top leaders who share stories on how to successfully systemize a business. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello, Klevit here, the host of the System Simplified podcast, where I feature top founders, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders about systematizing a business. And today's episode is being brought to you by Business Success Consulting Group, where we create, document, optimize, and implement processes and procedures so businesses can grow and thrive. And today's guest is Anna Redmond. Hi, Anna.
Hi, so happy to be here with you.
Yes, and I'm happy to have you on. Well, I'm going to start with your bio, and then we're going to have a very interesting conversation because what you created is very unique, and we are going to talk about it. So I'm going to read your bio. So Anna Redmond is the founder and CEO of Braav, Braav, a physical security company trusted by organizations nationwide, and the creator of AllCoin, the first platform to put challenge coins on the blockchain for military, law enforcement, and first responder communities. You're a Harvard grad and a former venture capitalist, and you've been featured in US News and World Report, Security Journal Americas, and Tech News World for your work at the intersection of security technology and veteran employment. So, Anna, tell us about Braav and how it got started and why.
Sure. So I have a very non-traditional background for someone working in security. If you had told me 10 years ago that I would be here, I wouldn't have believed you because it's been such a windy and twisty journey. But I graduated from Harvard, went into venture capital, flipped to the public equity side, was at a couple different hedge funds, transitioned into founding my own business. I knew that I had always wanted to tackle entrepreneurship. I'm very singularly minded. The quote, you'd rather work 60 hours a week so that you don't have to work 40 for someone else kind of applies to me. I always want to do things my way, and I have a very specific vision. So we launched a totally different business than what I'm running now. It was called Hippo Reads, ran it with a lovely co-founder for the better part of 8 years, and we focused on thought leadership platforms for Fortune 500s. And around 2020, that part of that business wound down, part of it was transitioned, and I had started looking at my next thing. And it just became very obvious to me that from a physical security perspective, there was a massive gap around mid-sized businesses. I heard a lot of stories of people that I knew who were just sharing these narratives of, and then we had a hostile termination and we didn't know who to call, and we had these concerns about safety and employees were coming to us. And it was very interesting to me. I knew next to nothing about security, but I did know a whole lot about customer pain points, right? And so I began to dig in and I approached it very methodically. I went and initially I actually took a bunch of classes in security, some of which were totally out of my comfort zone. I got my guard card in the state of California, which entitles you to be a security guard, which I did not work as a security guard, but I really wanted to see what that process was like. And in about a year and a half of learning and research and networking, got comfortable enough with the thesis that I jumped in, went and raised a tiny pre-seed round, and we founded Braav with the vision of really delivering exceptional fractional CSO services into businesses that needed security help. And CSO stands for Chief Security Officer. And the pitch was basically, there are lots of organizations that have forced, just by virtue of not having anyone else, have forced their HR leadership to take responsibility for decisions that really should be in the security camp. And those decisions range from, we have executives traveling to this location. Is it safe or not? What should they do? To we're having a special event. Do we need to hire security? All the way to, there's been an incident. We're terminating someone, and gosh, it's starting to feel uncomfortable. Should we bring someone in? Or sometimes in the aftermath of an incident too, like something happened between two employees. What can we, or an employee and a customer, or unfortunately, sometimes it's an employee and someone just walking off the street. What do we need to do as a business to make sure we're doing right by our employees, to train so that it doesn't happen again? So this whole universe of like quite meaty complexity was being given to people who had had no training and no background, and frankly felt anxious and uncomfortable tackling it. So we came in with this, there was some tech enablement, but primarily we focused on bringing exceptional security leadership and making them available on a fractional basis. And customer after customer would say, like, gosh, I thought it's actually not that expensive. I'm getting tremendous peace of mind. It's really, really helpful to have the proverbial adult in the room that can help us deal with this and can let me sleep easy knowing that a retired chief of police or a former special agent in charge or a regional director of public safety is on it and is available at the touch of a button. So we launched with that. We're very successful, grew primarily through word of mouth quite quickly. And throughout that process, I really got to know the security community, which included a lot of former first responders, former police officers. Sometimes we worked with active duty police officers, um, active duty military veterans. And I have to be honest with you, this is such an interesting part to me of my journey because I went from knowing zero people that had served, honestly, knowing zero police officers, um, to now being so fortunate and honored to count many of them among my closest friends, advisors, and the community really was not at all what I expected. It really is comprised, the best of this community are really people whose North Star is public service.
Right.
And I had come out of the business community, right? Like venture, hedge funds, lots of great people everywhere, obviously, but the vision was really like, what's good for us? What's good for me? How can I make more money? How can I make more money for our clients? And suddenly, I was constantly surrounded by people with a very different mindset, where the mindset was really like, how can I serve others? How do I protect? How do I defend? And it was really, really refreshing. And it just, I fell in love with the community that I'm now working with.
That is amazing. So it's really when you have that kind of an emotional connection or liking of the people you work with, you want to do more for them for sure. So what were some of the challenges of growing the business?
Um, sure. So I think for me, there was definitely a little bit of work initially, and this is why I really spent a year and a half before jumping in, um, of understanding the security perspective. I felt like I had a very clear understanding of the customer perspective. I went in to every situation thinking about it as though I'm the customer because I did not serve. I was not I was never a first responder. Um, and so I definitely spent time trying to understand how to marry those two worlds. And incidentally, I think the reason that we were so successful is because a lot of leaders in security companies really rise through the ranks of military and policing. And so there is a lot that they assume the customer knows that the customer does not know, or there are things that they assume the customer wants that the customer does not want. So I definitely spent time just really aligning that fit between the service and the client. And I would tell my team, look, it's very important that the customer is safe, right? Like the state of being is safety. But the other thing that's really important is that the client feels safe. And that within like a military context is not a priority as much, right? I think in general, everyone would say we want everyone to feel safe. But in a private context, you want your employees to really have this feeling of being protected as well as the actuality. And if we've delivered only the actuality, but people are feeling anxious because there's poor communication, or because they're confused, or because there's no clarity, or because we're doing something that they don't even know that we're doing, we're not delivering on the full brand promise.
That's true. That's true. So you do from that, I mean, you first of all, you have to have a brand promise documented, or first of all, created, then documented and made known to everyone. So that is a key component of running a business, is to actually have those policies and agreements in place, won't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the this element of being so mission focused and security really aligned itself well to having a brand promise and to having people understand that. And so I really like that part. And that actually fed in really beautifully into the next portion and the next evolution of our business, which was this challenge coin site, which I'd love to talk about.
Please tell me about it.
If we can dive in. So, your listeners may not know what challenge coins are, so I'll give you a brief explainer. Do you do video or just the audio, right?
No, video.
Video too. Okay, great. So then we have the screen. So this background that I have behind me displays two challenge coins that are on our platform. This one is a digital only coin that we helped develop for a private war game that a former security analyst was running, and this is a Navy SEAL coin that one of my advisors was kind enough to gift to me. And challenge coins come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. You can even see here that they're slightly differently shaped. And they've been around for about 100 years. They're a tradition in military and first responder circles. They extend into private security, Air Force, FBI, CIA. Every single US president for the last 100 years has had their own challenge coin that they've given out as a reward for something exemplary. And the tradition began, and it's a little bit apocryphal, so no one knows the names of these people. So maybe a little bit of a, yarn. But presumably in World War I, there was an Air Force squadron where the captain of the squadron had these coins minted for all the men under his command and sort of gifted them out. And one of the pilots was shot down over France and was captured and was in a prisoner of war camp and somehow lost everything, his identification, but managed to hold on to this coin. And then when he successfully escaped and swam across the English Channel and got to England, people thought that he was a spy and they were about to hang him. And finally, somehow he fished out this coin and said, "No, no, I'm a pilot. I've been shot down. Look." And they recognized the coin, or his captain did. And so rather than being executed as a spy, he lived a long and happy life. And
Beautiful story.
it is, right? It's a beautiful story. And so in the aftermath of this story or something similar, military, police departments, fire departments have been minting challenge coins. And they have their own logo on them. And sometimes they're made to commemorate just membership. Sometimes they're made to commemorate remarkable achievement. Sometimes it's kind of a mix. And if you talk to someone who's served, for I would say 5, 6, upwards of 5 years, they will have had at least a handful of challenge coins, and some people have massive walls of them. And sometimes they're relationship builders. So occasionally, a general might meet someone that they want to work with and they really connect with, and they have a great meeting. And they'll say, "I'd like for you to have my challenge coin. Here you go." And they're handed out, especially when they're awarded in a very specific way. It's sort of like this handshake, and the coin is palmed. And if you want to Google any of the US presidents, that's how they hand out the coins. Um, so I began working in security, right? And within the first couple of years, I had a couple of folks very generously want to gift me challenge coins. And the very first time it happened, I was like, this is so cool, but what the heck is it? I have no idea. And then
Right.
I did the research and they shared with me. And I learned that upwards of 30 million Americans, so basically 10% of the population, has some sort of challenge coin. And also learned, and this was interesting to me, that the challenge coins um, were such an oral tradition because everything that people really valued about their coins, which was who gave it to you, what did you do to earn it, what was that moment like, who else was there with you, who else got one, all of that important information was really fragile because it was just what's in someone's mind, right? What they remember and what they retell. And the thought wouldn't leave me because I talked to enough people who would say, oh, here's my wall of challenge coins. Gosh, I wish I could remember the last name of the guy that gave me this one. Or I think I got this one 5 years ago, but maybe it was 8. Like, I don't quite remember. And I could tell that they were bothered by not remembering these details. So we built the first ever digital challenge coin platform, which does two things. One is it lets people preserve the physical coins that they already have. It's a beautiful interface where the coins actually turn in space, and you can see both the front and the back, and you can record the story and the memory. And the other part of it is you can preserve it on the blockchain if you mint the coin with us. So for new challenge coin issuers, and we already have early proof of concept clients that have jumped on this bandwagon, we'll make the physical coin and a digital twin at the same time. And the digital twin lives on the blockchain. As you know, blockchain means it has perfect provenance. You can't edit it afterwards. You can't rewrite the story. If I give you a coin and say this coin is for, saving my life when I was crossing in front of a car and you pulled me out of the way, and then a year later, I can't go back and erase it and say, never mind, that never happened, right? Like that's on the blockchain, that's firmly fixed. Um, and so we're 2 months into a soft launch of this. We're in a beta, and the response has been so overwhelming. Veterans are incredibly excited. I'm talking to folks every day who want to introduce me to 10 more people. And we see it, I think, the way that this really aligns with my North Star, which has been really highlighting and preserving the stories of this incredible community.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I have you here on the podcast because you're a successful entrepreneur, but you also have the purpose and you're driven by purpose. And I love interviewing entrepreneurs with purpose, that there is a purpose and a mission behind what they do, and they contribute back to the community and to the people that they live with. So I think it's a phenomenal story. So Anna, if people would like to, they're hearing your story, they would like to connect with you, how can they do that?
I'd love to connect with them on LinkedIn. You can look me up, Anna Redmond. I would love to have anyone email me, Anna, ANNA, at Braav, BRAAV.co. And happy to talk to anyone who wants to learn about challenge coins, and delighted to talk to any businesses that have security issues that we can help you solve. And if anyone wants to check out the platform, it's allcoin.braav, BRAAV.co.
Amazing. So we'll include all of that in the show notes. And I truly appreciate you being on the show. Thank you so much.
It was my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to the System Simplified podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.